p.m. tonight, we go across the Irish Sea for the Manx International Rally, where Stephen Finlay and Kenny McKinstry battle it out for the 1994 Dunlop Tarmac title. Mention the Manx in motoring circles, and a mist seems to glaze over drivers' eyes as they think of the awesomely fast tests that crisscross this miniature land in the Irish Sea. It's a mecca for motorcyclists, but it's also held in high esteem by rallymen, as this is generally recognised as one of the fastest tarmac tests in the world. 3 days rallying over 33 stages lie ahead, and Malcolm Wilson is the undoubted favourite. He hopes that he can take his first British title this week, and that his teammate Stephen Finlay can produce the double by securing the Dunlop Tarmac Championship before leaving the island. As in the Ulster Rally, the British and Irish series coincide on the Isle of Man to bring a fascinating array of machinery from both lands. Add to that the fact that the rally also has the highest European status, and you're guaranteed a very special event. It all starts at the TT Grandstands in Douglas, where understandably the Malcolm Wilson team are one of the main attractions. Malcolm, this elusive British Championship is probably as close as it's ever been.
I suppose it probably is, Plum, but I mean, you know what the Isle of Man's like as well as I do. And it's going to be 3 days of difficult driving for sure over this type of terrain.
Hasn't been your luckiest event in the past?
No, I mean, I have led the rally on 2 previous occasions, and unfortunately the Manx scenery's always got the better of me. So I'd like to think that this time we can sort of keep it all together. You know, there's no reason why not to. We've got the best car, the best tyres, everything. So really it is, at the end of the day, it's down to me.
The last look round, Stephen.
Yeah, it's looking good. It's dry, so hopefully it'll work out well first few stages.
Now with any sort of luck, you should come away at the end of these 3 days with the Dunlop Tarmac Championship.
Well, that's our aim anyway. We'll have to finish, I think, in front of Kenny. He has to finish below, he has to finish in the first 2, I think, to stay with a chance with the championship. So we haven't really a lot to lose on this one, so we can have a good go on it, and even if we don't finish, we can still hopefully tie it up in Cork.
And there is plenty of other Irish interest on the island. Bertie, everybody's talking about championships and points. Sadly, that doesn't affect you.
No, that doesn't affect me at all. You know, this time we're really out just to enjoy the rally, hopefully, and try and have a good run and do what we can. But as far as the championship is concerned, you know, we've got to forget about it this year.
Well, I know the 2 ones that you'd love to add to your portfolio are the Isle of Man International and the Circuit of Ireland.
Yeah, obviously, you know, we have finished second here a few times, and we came very close to winning in 1990. But you know, certainly it's not getting any easier to win, you know, and. You know, we have obviously the strength of the 4 team here with Malcolm Wilson, and you know, it's a big world championship setup, and you know, I don't think it's really realistic to start thinking about beating him. If he has a problem, we'll try to be there, but you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes.
Frank, this has got to be one of your favourite events.
Well, it has been. The last 3 years we've done pretty good. We've got 7th, 5th and 4th now, and we're hoping to aim better this year. Top 3 would be nice.
Now, I know you've been pretty busy on the car. You've got some new bits on it.
Yeah, we got the latest computer yesterday morning, and we drove it on the test stage, and we're immediately a second a mile quicker. Very, very impressive unit.
At number 23, Philip Young in the Wilfit car, who comes to the island with an outside chance of taking the British Group N title.
Yeah, it's very important event, Plum. Just have to take a steady drive here. Martin's on his home ground here, so I mean, I don't think we can beat him here at the minute unless he has a problem or something like that there. So we're going to take a steady run here and try and wait on him, hopefully making a mistake or something, and us picking up the points.
Yes, Martin Rowe from the Isle of Man is the Group N favourite, but there's a very interesting addition to the showroom ranks.
My jeepers, Plum, where have you been?
Well, where have you been, more to the point?
I've been hiding from you.
It's nice to see you back, Mark.
Thank you, thank you. It's been good fun, I'm enjoying it.
Now this car, it's Group N, that's correct?
Yeah, it's a Group N GT4. It has been out on most of the rounds this year with Brendan Creeley, and it was nice to be invited to drive it. And after yesterday where we had the test stage, I'm really enjoying it. It's good fun.
Following a short stage at the grandstand, we get into the real action on Brandywell. Six stages are tackled before lunchtime on the first day, and Malcolm Wilson starts cautiously by his standards. Driving his Ulster-winning Cosworth smoothly yet deceptively fast to lead by 14 seconds after 6 stages. But that's not the whole story. Bertie Fisher is fastest on Brandywell, and the Mobil 1 Tarmac crew are a joy to watch in their Subaru Impreza. The car is on its 18-inch wheels, and it'll be 5 seconds quicker than Wilson here. But by stage 4, Wilson heads the Impreza, not through his pace, but through a rare navigational error by Rory Kennedy, who's clocked the Impreza into a control at the wrong time. Bertie's also being frustrated by the ridiculous FIA seeding system, which has placed a B-seeded Cypriot driving a Vauxhall Nova ahead of him on the road. That seeding system and the timing error could more than account for the 14-second deficit. But spare a thought for Rory Kennedy.
Rory, it's a rough life being a navigator, because really the only time you're interviewed is when something goes wrong or they can't find the driver.
Earlier this morning we had if you like, an emergency tyre change before we went into stage 2, and we sort of left it a bit tight, and between one thing and another in the road section we're a minute late arriving at the next control, which dropped us 10 seconds stage time, you know, so it's one of those things, you know.
Here's another Irishman who always shows brilliance on the island, Kenny McKinstry. Robbie Philpott, his co-driver, feels they could have been even faster in Brandywell. And as they're the only crew that can still prevent Finlay from taking the Dunlop title, they need to keep the pressure on. Stage 4, St John's, and Kenny responds to beat Wilson by 2 seconds on this long stage. But Fisher is 2 seconds quicker again. And after their first run over West Baldwin, the Calibre team is just 4 seconds down on Fisher in 3rd place. Stephen Finlay in the pilot car is spectacular. In marked contrast to his teammate, Stephen flings the Escort from lock to lock, but he's not a happy man. For a start, he has the flu. No matter how hard he tries on his first Manx International, maybe he's trying too hard, he's not getting the times. Still, he's 4th, and there's a long way to go. The former German champion, Dutchman Dieter Dieping, makes a cautious start in 6th place after a small excursion on yesterday's test stage. Frank Marr is initially 5th and amazed at the pace up front. Sadly, he will drop 3 places by lunchtime with a blown turbo in the Lombard and Ulster Escort. Here's a surprise. Gwyndaf Evans will lead Formula 2 after the first 6 stages. No wonder the Welsh flags are flying. This is Gwyndaf's first rally in a front-wheel drive car. His French teammate, Eric Mouffret, who actually led him after stage 2, is not so fortunate. He retires with a blown engine. And fortunes in F2 are continually changing. Alistair McRae moves ahead after 4 stages in the Nissan, but drops to 2nd with a broken throttle on stage 6. And what of the favourite, Tommy Mackinnon? Well, a spin further down Brandywell won't help his championship chances. but the 1,000 Lakes winner is really travelling. And doesn't the Nissan sound gorgeous? Johnny Milner has his Clubman spec Formula 2 Nissan, and as we would expect from this front-wheel drive expert, he's really travelling. Johnny's in the top 10, but as always, never too far from trouble. A trip to the ditch on West Baldwin causes not one, but 2 punctures. Here's another spectacular young man, Dom Buckley from Scotland, in the works Formula 2 Volkswagen. He also gets into the top 10, despite a spin on stage 3. But he's also in trouble on West Baldwin. That's more than a puncture, the rear suspension's out of line. But what of Formula 2 Championship contender Di Llewellyn, you might ask? Well, he's 7th, and he's the Formula 2 leader after stage 2. But he's in big trouble with brake failure on stage 6. Mal Herrick records it from one side of the road. And Jim Roscoe from the other. Those are all press and PR people, but really that escape road should never have been blocked. Di struggles on, still without those front brakes, but the damage isn't as bad as it could have been. However, he was very concerned about the accident.
The brakes failed basically. There's a dual system on the car, so you get brakes one end or t'other, but unfortunately it's the front brakes that went. So when you had rear brakes and trying to stop a car from 100 miles an hour with just rear brakes, especially these little front wheel drive cars, you go very light on the back, it's impossible. And I did everything I could to slow the car down, and then the escape road on the hairpin was blocked with a van and a car. So by the time I saw that, it was too late to jump into the field, so I handbraked the car, we hit the hedge and just turned around and hit the van backwards. And luckily all the spectators managed to get out of the way, so nobody was hurt.
Manxman Martin Rowe is ahead of all the Formula 2 cars and well ahead in Group N. In fact, the Shell Scholarship driver is 5th overall. Mark Lovell has obviously lost none of the flair that made him a former tarmac champion, as we see from inside the Group N Toyota. Duncan McMath is calling the notes.
70 narrow medium right over grid, slippy. Then 20 fast left and 30 long left late. And 30 right maybe. Then left tightens over 20 to medium left and slow right and water long left. Long left and right and long brow left. 100 brow, 20 narrow left, maybe through bump to left. 70 brow to bump and jump out. 30 long brows, easy right.
Mark Higgins, another driver on home territory, is flying in the Castrol Honda. The new British Junior Rally champion is challenging for 2nd in Group N.
150, quick right.
That's the ailing Gary Lease that we're about to pass towards the end of the Brandywell stage. But suddenly, the Toyota is ailing as well.
Management system.
Try again.
No. It's all gone dead. Something's come undone.
For once, luck is on the Toyota team's side as they glide past the finish board. Philip Young in the Wilfit Cosworth is happier on forest surfaces. He's setting a pace that won't damage the car. Help is on hand for the Toyota, but it leaves Lovell with a lot of time to recover. as they have to negotiate stage 3 with a temporary repair to the electrics. Back in Douglas, there's a small panic in the Calibre camp. As always, it's hands-on for Kenny. No superstar treatment here.
You're a busy boy, Kenny.
Thought we had a turbo blown, but it actually looks like it's a brake pipe union. Like an air pipe has just burst or something like that, you know.
Well, that's not so serious.
Well, let's hope we can fix it. It's at a union, at a junction, where there's a little sensor goes on for the gearbox takeoff on it. So a bit of luck we can repair it.
Obviously we're well pleased that we're certainly seem to be on Malcolm's pace, you know. And I think probably by this stage he's probably, you know, going near enough maximum, but we're certainly happy enough. Obviously we've had a 10-second road penalty, but you know, but for that there's only 4 seconds, which is certainly better than we thought we could do anyway, you know.
Frank, another turbo goes on.
Yeah, this is the good one that's supposed to last the whole rally that blew. See the inside there, that it just disintegrated inside, and shaft is gone for no real reason, but we're just changing the wastegate now, which is a better wastegate on this turbo than there was on the spare ones we've put into the car. The shaft on this turbo will be in a titanium shaft, where the shaft on the turbo that's in the car now is a steel, which has a better chance of breaking again.
The entire field is about to receive an after-dinner speech from Malcolm Wilson that they aren't expecting. The Cumbrian has changed the front suspension to softer settings, and he now stamps his World Championship class on the event. 4 seconds quicker on stage 7, 4 seconds quicker on stage 8, 2 seconds on stage 9, 3 on stage 10, and 9 on stage 11. Bertie's euphoria at lunchtime turns to the realism that Malcolm is once again showing the difference between a professional and a gifted amateur. Any hopes of staying close to the escort are shattered in West Baldwin when the Mobil 1 Tarmac Subaru gets a puncture early in the stage. They lose 2 minutes. Kenny moves up to second, just short of a minute behind the leader. The Banbridge engineer has found considerable extra pace in the Calibre Dunlop car. He has new suspension settings and some improvements also in the engine management system. And Kenny feels that the car now in his third season in his hands has never gone better. Stephen Finlay is a further minute down and by far the most spectacular to watch. But he incurs a 10-second road penalty when he's late out of a service area. Stephen looks very much in control, but a high body temperature added to the high temperatures inside these competition cars can't be helping his concentration. Deeping's now up to 5th, and the Dutchman is getting noticeably faster as he gains confidence over the difficult Manx mountains. And Manx men are dominating Group N. Martin Rowe's 6th and over 4 minutes ahead of Mark Higgins in the Honda. And then it's our mark, 30 seconds behind after their electrical problems. We're back inside the Toyota and about to negotiate one of the artificial chicanes put up by the organisers to keep the average speed down. As we do, we discover that the Formula 2 sagas continue. That's Sebastian Lindholm's Volkswagen on the side of the road. Dom Buckley will also join him and continue the misery of Volkswagen's British Championship season. Transmission problems sideline both. Tommy Mackinnon is now the man on the move, and the Finn will be in 7th place in the Formula 2 lead by the end of the first day. Gwyndaf loses that lead when he loses 6th gear. However, he's still very much there in 8th place. Llewellyn, having recovered from that Sarsfield scare, is now back to full pace. But he's also 2 minutes down on Mackinnon, and that's not good for his championship hopes. As the seesaw fortunes of Formula 2 continue, at the round table, Alistair McRae gets a puncture and nearly a BBC cameraman. Alistair was leading Formula 2 after 6 stages, but his throttle leakage problems dropped him to 5th in the category that will decide the British Championship next year. The youngest member of the McRae rallying dynasty is also suffering from flu, so his temperature does not need this extra aggravation. Johnny Milner goes through in the Clubman's Nissan. As McRae gets aboard, at long last they're moving again. And just in front of Gwyndaf, you'd think the British Touring Car Championship had come to the Isle of Man. Alistair's not the only one in trouble. Maher's blown his 2nd turbo, and it's doubtful whether the team will continue as we finish a very eventful first day.
Day 2 at Maggold Crossroads, and Wilson starts the longest day as he finished the first, fastest. But Kenny is just 1 second slower over this short stage. Finlay still suffering and still losing time. Ideally, he'd like to be in his sickbed. Fisher's fast, but not as fast as Kenny, and sadly this is the last time we see the Impreza in action. By the Ayrton stage, Brandywell in reverse, Deeping has moved up to 4th place due to Fisher's retirement. That's because of a differential failure. Martin Rowe is back in 5th. And Tommy Mackinnon is holding off Evans and Llewellyn in the Formula 2 race. Norwegian Bruno Arntsen also has a Formula 2 Astra, but he's unfamiliar with tarmac. Philip Young is fourth in Group N behind Martin Rowe, Mark Higgins and Mark Lovell. Good for a tarmac novice who's up against the locals and a professional. And Frank Marr still has the consolation that he's still in the event. That's more than can be said for Fisher.
Bertie, sadly, there's one car obviously missing.
Yeah, that's it, Plum. We think it's either a front or a centre differential. And just the strange thing about it is that we got absolutely no warning of it. And we had gone up to the start of stage 16, we had had our time into the control and basically put the car in the first gear to move forward up to the start line of the stage, and there was no drive.
We've got Mark and Rory Doyle, but sadly we've got no motor car. What happened, Mark?
First stage out this morning from there's a fast 2 left car, the tail end of the car broke away and we hit a bank and rolled over, so the car wasn't going any further, unfortunately.
Is that the end of this little fairy tale of leading the Group N Championship?
Well, it looks like it. We don't think we'll get the Nova back on the road for Cork, so really it's time to plan again, probably for next year. We're hoping to get a new car for next year and take advantage of all the junior bonus points and bonus prizes.
Right, you've had a great season though, haven't you?
Yeah, it has been good. It has been a good season. Just the last 2 rallies have been a bit disappointing, but over the whole year, yeah, we're certainly very pleased with how the year went.
Do you hope to go up in par next year, Mark?
Yeah, hopefully we'll, well, we don't know whether we'll move out of Group N or not, but something in Group N maybe a bit quicker, so have a crack at it.
Tony Jardine, we would expect to find you in the pits at a motorsporting event, but not at a rally car.
No, I know. But this is my real passion. This is the best branch of motorsport, rallying. It's my first tarmac rally here on the Manx, and as you probably know, I've got the Daily Telegraph man with me. It's his first ever rally, and we're enjoying it very much. This is my hobby, number one.
So how do you get the time away from the Grand Prix to come here?
You've got to make it. You've really got to make it. I mean, it's the first time I've managed to get the rally car out since the RAC last year. That's been a great concern, so I've been chipping away at the rust and trying to remember where things are. But if I could do more, I would, but I've had to change this schedule rapidly to try and fit things in, because work in other sports as well, and you're working every weekend, basically.
But as I say, not many people know you're a rally driver, and not many people know you're quite a mimic as well. I mean, what would John Watson say about this?
Well, he'd say, Allard, do be quiet now. No, he didn't do that. It was lap 3 or lap 4. He's got this cultivated Ulster accent, as you know. Well, lap 5, and here we go. You're live on Eurosport. That's what he'd say.
Would Nigel have anything to say?
Oh, no, just because I've got a sore finger and a sore head, and I've got to call Roseanne. It's too much for me. I'm sorry. I can't talk anymore. No more interviews.
Nigel must have inflicted his wrath on Tony for that, as his rally, his car and the man from the Daily Telegraph ended up in a tree.
Just give me in. Oh, just give me in. Just give me the sunshine. And all I want is the sunshine. Just give me the sunshine. Well, now I don't see the sun in the sky on a rainy morning. I can't wait for the sun to come along and push the clouds away. Well, I don't mind when it rains, cause everything needs it. But when I'm with my baby in the park, I wish it would turn away the rain. Come bring me the sunshine. All I need is the sunshine. If it has the sunshine, oh, just give me the sunshine.
The spectator climax for the event are the 2 early evening runs through Castletown. Over the years, this rallying showpiece has received all the cliches. The Isle of Man's Monaco and many more. But like Monaco, records have been kept over the years, and Malcolm is not only fastest, but he breaks that record. Drivers certainly take Castletown seriously, but more serious are the night stages that lie ahead. And this year, there is a much higher proportion of the rally in the darkness. Before the end of this long, long day, there will be many tales to tell. Wilson's escort will suffer a turbo. Stephen Finlay, seen here, will go off the road and drop dangerously close to that Dutchman Deeping. And indeed, Deeping will not be without his problems, as his escort Cosworth will lose power when it goes on to 3 cylinders. And there will be devastation in Formula 2. Mackinnon will retire when an oil pump comes adrift, and then the Nissan goes on fire. Evans will go out with a broken cross member, and this promotes Alistair McRae into the Formula 2 lead. And Evelyn Wynne? Well, actually, he's the man who manages to get lost in Castletown. The dramatic changes in Formula 2 certainly benefit his fellow countryman, David Llewellyn.
Unfortunately, Gwyndaf has disappeared from the fray. I'm not exactly sure what's happened there. And more importantly for us, Tommy Mackinnon has, we believe, gone off the road a couple of stages ago. But there's all sorts of things, the car's gone on fire and all sorts of things, so we're not quite sure what's happened, but he's retired anyway.
Yes, as expected, darkness has brought plenty of drama.
The third day should be just a high-speed tour for Malcolm Wilson, though he had a lucky escape last night when that turbo blew just 1 mile from the finish of the final stage. In what has to be one of the greatest drives of his life, Kenny is just 2 minutes behind, and he's still trying. The interest now switches to third. Finlay's under big pressure from Deeping, and the Ulsterman, still stuffed with the flu, is being rattled. They've partially cured the engine problems in the Dutchman's escort, and Deeping is putting on a most impressive performance on his first visit to the island. By the last stage, there's just 2 seconds in it, and Finlay makes this small mistake at the mines. To be followed by a much bigger one, which will drop him down to 6th. Deeping, despite a car that's down on power, will sail through into 3rd place. Martin Rowe has backed off to preserve his Group N lead. But there's a ferocious battle for 3rd between Mark Higgins and Mark Lovell. Higgins shouldn't really be up there in his 1600cc Civic, but he's been truly brilliant throughout the week. Every time Lovell gets close, he encounters another problem. As well as that early electrical malady, he's found the brakes spongy, and in the vital final stages, he's got gearbox trouble. And the Formula 2 battle goes right to the second last stage. Alistair McRae started the day with a 24-second advantage over the Vauxhall, but 3 stages later, they were on equal terms. The result was finally decided in Llewellyn's favour when the Nissan's engine blew.
But that's not the end of the Manx tales, because at the back of the field the historic competitors are having their own little battles. Prettiest car is the white Porsche 911, driven by Roger Clark and prepared by his son Matthew. But the fastest car was the black Porsche, driven by Newryman Sean Campbell. Maharafel's John Keatley had initially led the event but slipped off the road in his Porsche, and Sean had his hands full, keeping off the advances of the locals. People like Adrian Kermode in his Mini Cooper S, which finished just 30 seconds behind. And David Milcreast's MGB. David is another Isle of Man resident. Glenn Leese in his Mini Cooper S was next up. And Campbell's Dunlop Historic Championship rival from Coleraine, Desi Nutt, who brought his Mini home in 5th place. And there's one more historic, Harry Cathcart from Fermanagh. Not the car, but Harry, who's competed in almost every Manx International.
So to the top 10. 10th overall, Philip Young and Gordon Noble. They were 4th in Group N. 9th and 3rd in Group N, Mark Lovell and Duncan McMath. And that's not a bad result, bearing in mind the troubles they had throughout the week. Mark Higgins and Cliff Simmons are 8th. They're 2nd in Group N and the Formula 2 Championship. And they're the British Junior Rally Champions. Frank Maher and Pat Malochney make a remarkable recovery to 7th. Stephen Finlay and Campbell Roy, a lowly 6th place for them, the worst result they've had all year. David Llewellyn and Ian Grindrod become the Formula 2 champions for the 2nd year.
Martin Rowe and Chris Wood win Group N with a sensational 4th place. The Dutch pair, Dieter Dieping and Peter Thal, take 3rd and an FIA B seeding. And Kenny McKinstry and Robbie Philpott are 2nd for the 2nd year in succession with a fabulous drive. For Malcolm Wilson and Brian Thomas, the long wait is over. They are now the British Open Rally Champions.
Everyone is in Douglas to welcome Malcolm Wilson and Brian Thomas, including Kelly. Kelly from the Isle of Man. After many years of trying and a lot of bad luck on the island, the Cumbrian driver is finally the British champion. And now, at the age of 38, he sets his sights once again on the World Championship stage.
Stephen still has a comfortable lead in the Dunlop Series, but he can now be caught. So for the Malcolm Wilson team, it's mission not quite accomplished. Well, you're 1st and 2nd in the British Championship for your team, with Stephen, of course, in 2nd place, but still a little bit of unfinished work to do on the Irish Series.
Yeah, I have to say we did really hope to be able to clinch both championships here this weekend, and Stephen's been feeling very much under the weather on the rally. He's not been very well at all, and I think that's resulted in his, the way that where he's finished. It's a bit unfortunate because we didn't really want to have to go to Cork, but it looks like it's going to go right down to the wire as well. I mean, Kenny's doing very well here, I have to say. I mean, the pace of Kenny and Bertie early on was very quick, I have to say.
Yeah, well, we have worked hard on the car now from the Ulster Rally. We actually found a couple of problems with it, and we've done a really good recce for the Manx. I also like the stages here, so Rob and I tried both very hard.
But you're up against Works teams, Kenny. This is tremendous. You were almost swapping times.
Yeah, we were swapping times earlier on, but I think at the end of the day, if you take a look at Malcolm's times, once we could take 1 or 2 seconds off him, and then he would maybe take 5 off us. And once we were pushing hard, he could push a little bit harder, and I think that's really down to, he's obviously a very good driver, and the car has to be good as well. So,
Stephen, it obviously hasn't been the week you hoped it would be.
No, I think it's the worst rally I've done this year. From the start, everything's went wrong for me, and I haven't been in good form myself. But that last stage there, we overcooked it and hit a chicane and got a puncture, so we dropped 6 minutes.
You look absolutely full of the cold, are you?
Yeah, very full of it. Just not concentrating right and not on the pipe. But we're at the finish, we're 7th or 6th, I think, maybe.
Well, now you have 2 weeks to make a personal recovery, but it's going to be now not just such an easy task in Cork.
Yeah, I think we'll have to, 1st or 2nd will do us in Cork. Obviously Kenny has to win it, I think, and We'll be looking forward to it because it similar stages that's at Killarney, so we'll be looking forward to it.